What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, bringing home the bacon NFL DFS video. We are breaking down the main slate for Week 11. We are going to go over it. We're going to use SaberSim. We're going to make our player pool. We're going to add some projections in there. We're going to boost it up a little bit. Then we're going to make some lineups. So we're going to make some lineups on DraftKings. We're going to make some lineups on Fanduel. And now, by popular demand or popular to a couple people, we're going to build on Yahoo as well. So we're doing Yahoo because 2 weeks ago, I used the information we built in week 9 in the video, the articles, the rankings, everything. And I took down the Yahoo weekly free thing, $0 entry. It was $150 for first place. I took first place down on that. So I want to bring into Yahoo there. I can't play a paid contest on Yahoo, but we can do the free contest. So we're going to use all of our tools. If you've never been here before, we are almost to 10,500 subscribers, which is awesome. Took a long time to get to 10,000. The last 500 have been like that. So if you're new to the channel, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you could watch this video a couple of times, maybe play it in the background, that would help out the algorithm. Leaving comments helps as well, and that's what we can do. We have 2 giveaways every single day we do one of these videos, or every single week. Here's how to win twice. Like this video, be a YouTube subscriber, and you've got to leave a comment, preferably a positive comment, but a comment for the comment picker to pick you up. If this video gets at least 50 likes, you have a chance to win a free week of FTA+. That is a week of every sport. MLB, or not MLB, it's out of season. NBA, NFL, PGA, MMA, NASCAR once it comes back, MLB once it comes back. If this video gets 100 likes, you have a chance at a free monthly pass. 150 likes, a chance at a free yearly pass worth $200. 200 or more likes on this video, a chance at a lifetime pass worth $500. On top of that, somewhere in this video, I will say a keyword. Listen for that keyword. Type that keyword in there. Second way to win. If you are chosen for the keyword, you will win a free week of FTA+. So technically, you could win twice in these videos. Now, FTA Plus is $10 for a week, get you every single sport that we offer, get you everything under the sun in all of this information. It is, currently we have 2 coupon codes left for the yearly pass. Normally the yearly pass is $199. The next 2 people that use the promo code NBA is back, you will get the yearly pass for $74.99. So make sure you check that out right now. So what we're going to do is the sponsor to all of these videos is right here. Not SaberSim, sorry. Outlier. The sponsor is Outlier. So what I like to do is I like to go into the games. I like to look at the odds. I like to look at, so for instance, Packers-Bears. You see that the Packers are 5.5 point favorite. You see it's a 40.5 over-under. As you see this, you can see right here, the Packers have not covered 5.5 the last 3 straight games. In their last 10 games, they've only covered it 7 times, or 3 times. They've only covered it 3 times in their last 10 games. The over-under, they've covered it 8 of 10 times. The over. So, and then you can dig in a little bit more. You can go in, you can look at player props, you could look at first touchdown score, team props, game props, whatever you want to do. So make sure you check out Outlier. The link is down below to sign up. On top of that, our free Discord is there as well, where we give you core plays, we give you value plays for every position and every either FanDuel, DraftKings, Yahoo, or the main slate, sport, whatever it is. So make sure you check out Outlier. You sign up using our link, we're going to give you 3, go through a 7-day free trial. After that, check us out because we're going to give you a free month of FTA Plus if you sign up after your 7-day free trial. If you go to their pro package, we're going to give you 3 months free as well. So at the end of this video, not only are we going to go over SaberSim, not only are we going to build lineups, we are going to go through our favorite bets for week 11. It's going to be right here at the end of this video. Normally, sometimes I make an extra video, but we'll put it in this one. So definitely using our matchup tool here. As you can see, these are the teams, the defenses that give up X amount of points. So if you use it right here, you go through here, you can see that the Tampa Bay Bucks, who are on bye, give up the most amount of points. But then the Baltimore Ravens, they rank 31 out of 32 against the opposing quarterback. 24.5 is the fantasy points on DraftKings, 24.2 on FanDuel, which is the Steelers, which would be Russell Wilson, which would be a stack with Russell Wilson and probably George Pickens. So this is what we're going to use to help build as well. So I'm going to put it on the other screen right now, and we will use that to build out our SaberSim. So what we're going to do is we're going to go position by position. We're going to look at them. We're going to go and figure out which ones we don't like, and we'll go from there. So I'm not going to be using Mac Jones against Detroit's defense. I'm out on him. I'm out on Caleb Williams for sure. Jameis Winston I'm okay with. Kirk Cousins I'm okay with. So on and so forth. We'll go through there. But what we're going to do is we're going to give a boost to some of these players. So Josh Allen versus Kansas City. If we see that, we can see that Josh Allen, matchup-wise, Kansas City gives passing yards. They rank 14th out of 32, so they're pretty good. They're very good against the run, so maybe James Cook gets a little boost or a decrease down. This Kansas City defense has been pretty good, but as we've seen in the past, a Buffalo-Kansas City matchup usually has a ton of points to go over. A ton of points in a game. So if we look at what they're bringing to the table here, just for this game, we could look at both obviously great teams. Bills are 8-2, Kansas City's 9-0. The over/under is 45.5 right now, and as you can see, Buffalo has only covered it 4 of their last 10 times. So it just depends. And then you got Buffalo. Actually, Buffalo are 2.5-point favorites right now, which seems weird to me. I could definitely see you taking the points on this one for Kansas City, whether or not you want to take the money line at plus 112 or you take the Kansas City spread. It just depends on what we're looking at there. They could win by 1. So looking at this, any questions, definitely check out Outlier. But we are going to give a boost to these players, to these lineups, and then we're going to build DraftKings, Fanduel, and Yahoo. So I am looking at this, and I am looking, coming down here, Russell Wilson. I'm going to give a boost to Russell Wilson because he does have technically the best matchup for quarterbacks today. And if we look at Russell Wilson, and we look at his game logs, you can see 3 starts, 7th, 8th, and 10th week. Last week against Washington, only completed 14 passes of 28 attempts, so 50%. Not the best, had 195 yards. They ended up winning that game by 1. 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He does have 6 touchdowns on the year to only 1 interception. He's averaging 19.6 fantasy points per game, and he's only 5,900. So I don't think I would use Russell Wilson without stacking him with Pickens or somebody else or Freiermuth. I kind of like those two as well. We will have a stacks video, so make sure you check that out as well. I'm looking at Russell Wilson. I'm going to give a little bit of boost to that, and I want to see what SaberSim does. I want to see what they're looking for, what they feel like might be a good boost here. So we've got him number 1, not number 1, but he's got the best matchup on this main slate. Number 2 is actually Jacksonville Jaguars. They give up the 30th most fantasy points against the position. They give up an average of 23 fantasy points per game, so they rank 30 out of 32 against opposing quarterbacks. They've given up 2,700 yards to quarterbacks. They rank 25th in the red zone. They've given up 19 touchdowns, 3 300-plus passing games, 305 yards on the ground, and 2 rushing touchdowns to opposing quarterbacks. So that is Jared Goff. Now, I know Goff last week, it felt like he was throwing the game. No idea what was going on. He's had basically his last 4 games have been downers. Not very good. It's been weird past few games. But you see his rating last week was 59.7. 2 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and still won the game by 3. Now, he does get this matchup against Jacksonville. Jacksonville ranks 30th out of 32 passing yards allowed per game at 261.2. They rank 20th against the run, so they have, obviously we know they have 2 really good running backs there. They rank 29th in points allowed per game, and they rank dead last in total yardage per game. So Jared Goff at 6,300, if we are looking at the pricing for quarterbacks on this main slate, he is down, okay? He is down. We've got 6 people ahead of him. People are going to be looking at him. They're going to see different players, and I get that. While everyone's going to be on Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, I think Jared Goff could be a sneaky option here. So I'm boosting Jared Goff up. I want the algorithm to know that I really like Jared Goff, so I'm bumping him up to the top right now. We'll see when we get to that, but I love this matchup. This Jacksonville defense has been absolutely atrocious. I do not trust them. Then the next one is for FanDuel, you can play it. Or no, you can't. It's the Monday night game, Dallas Cowboys versus Texans, so we can't play that. Bengals, so you can play this on DraftKings, but the Bengals defense has been very bad. They're ranked 28th out of 32. So the Sunday Night Football game, I've already filmed that video. That video might be live by the time you watch this video, breaking down Sunday Night Football, so make sure you check that out as well. So we go next, Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers are they're on the bye. Sorry, Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons, they rank 26 out of 32 in the red zone. 16 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. 26th ranked against the quarterback, 21 fantasy points. That is Bo Nix. That is the Denver Broncos. So we're coming down here to Bo Nix. We'll put him at 18 because I want to bump him up. I want him to go up a little bit, but I want him to see that we're able to build these lineups. I want them to know. Maybe I'll put him at 17.5 because I do like Russell Wilson a little bit better. So I'll put him under, and I want them to know that. So then we've got the Colts defense. Now, this is the Jets. I'm not going to lie. We were all over Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, and Garrett Wilson last week. It did nothing. Did absolutely nothing. The Colts, they give up 19.3 fantasy points per game. We look at Aaron Rodgers. So Aaron Rodgers, obviously we know that he it's been bad. Like, he had a good game. He had some good games, but then, of course, last week did nothing. He's only completed 22 passes, only 151 yards. Like, he is playing his age right now, which is wild. The decline, I don't know what's going on. He's 5,700 last week. He's 5,500 this week. The Colts have given up 14 passing touchdowns, 3 300-yard passing games, 3 rushing touchdowns, quarterbacks. We don't have to worry about Aaron Rodgers rushing. I will give a boost to Aaron Rodgers because he's 5,500. Everyone's going to be off of him. And we want to take a little bit advantage of that. So 17.49. We'll bump him there. I want the algorithm to know that we like him as well. Then the next one is the Raiders. They rank 29th out of 32 in the red zone. They 1,900 yards through the air, 15 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 24th ranked out of 32, 18.8 fantasy points per game. We're looking at Tua. We're looking at the Dolphins. Whether or not we think he's back, whether or not we think that Tyreek is back, we'll see. But we'll bump up Tua just a little bit more. And then we look at the Chiefs. So they are there, and I'm pretty good with Josh Allen staying where he's at. Rams, Drake May. It just depends if it's going to be Drake May, but I'll give a boost to Drake May and put him up at 17. So now we'll move to the running back. And again, we are using the Vegas odds. We are using the matchup tool here. So if you guys want to see that, you definitely can. But if we look at the matchup tool, the Bills give up the second most amount of fantasy points to the opposing running back. That is 30.3 fantasy points per game. So we look at that, and that's Kareem Hunt. Okay. So we come here. We look at the Chiefs. We've got Kareem Hunt at 17. I'll put him at 19. And we will look. So if we go to the running back position, and we look at Hunt, he's not even on the first list there. He's 6,700, a great matchup. The only team that's worse is the Panthers, who are not playing this week. 17 fantasy points, 21, 13, 22. He's had no touchdown last week, but you can see 1 against Tampa Bay, 1 against Las Vegas, 2 against the 49ers, 1 against New Orleans. Matchup-wise, they rank 15th rushing yards allowed per game, but overall, they're giving up a total of 336.4 yards. I love Kareem Hunt here. I'm going to give him a boost to up to 19. I want it to know that we really like him. Then we look at this. The Jaguars are next. They rank 30 of 32, 27.8 fantasy points. That's the Lions. Now, with that, we know that the only problem with this is both of these guys get some run in these games regardless. So if we look at Gibbs, he's averaging 18.8. David Montgomery averaging 15.8. So we look at Gibbs here. Is involved in the passing game a little bit. Did not have a touchdown last week. Did have a touchdown here, and then 2 against Minnesota. And in those same games with Montgomery, did have a touchdown last week. Had couple of receptions as well. He's still averaging the fantasy points. So I am going to give a boost to both of these guys. So we look at both of these guys' running back situation. I'm going to put him up to 18.9. I'm going to put David Montgomery up to 17.5 because I want it to know that we're looking at that as well. So we get out of there. The next one, the Saints. Now, the Saints' defense was really good for the first couple of weeks. Their offense was putting up a ton. They have come back down to earth. The Saints ranked 29th out of 32, giving up an average of 27.8 fantasy points, just like Jacksonville. They're right next to each other. So we're looking at the Browns' running situation. Now, we look at that. That's Nick Chubb, Jerome Ford, Deontay Foreman, Pierre Strong. Is it, though? It's not all four of them. So we look at the Browns. Chubb is averaging 6.6. Jerome Ford averaging 9. Chubb, the only problem with Chubb, he did have 15 attempts in Week 9. 16 in Week 8. 11 in Week 7. So it really depends on the situation of how this game goes. So if we were to look at this game on paper, just to see how they believe it might go, with the Browns, 44.5. Browns being a 1.5 point favorite. Maybe they're playing from ahead and they're just handing the ball off to Nick Chubb, which I'm okay with. Matchup wise, you can see the Saints are giving up an average. They rank 28 out of 32, giving up total yardage of 385.6 yards. Against the run, they're averaging 141 yards per game allowed, ranked 27th, and then passing 29. So this could be a good game for Nick Chubb. He's 6,000, so we'll give him a little bit of boost. We'll put him up to 14. Then it just depends. So game log wise, 4.5, 5.2, 10.2. And then if we look at Jerome Ford, 1.7, 1.4, he hasn't done much. So it's basically Nick Chubb or nothing for me anyway. Could be a little bit different for somebody else depending on where we're at in the game. Next one we can use is Las Vegas. They are facing the Dolphins. So if we look at this game and we use, this is the only problem. Miami has a ton of people that run, but Achane is number one. We're going to put him at 21.8. Mostert, I'll put him at 9. He could vulture a touchdown, but I don't think you're starting him. I don't think you're starting him and feeling comfortable about it. Then we got the Patriots. Patriots are facing the Rams. So we look at the Rams running situation. Kyren Williams, obviously we know that with Kyren Williams, we know what we're getting with him. But let's take a look at it. Kyren Williams, if it'll click it, game log wise, you can see had a run with touchdowns in every game. And then it's been 3 games without a touchdown on the ground, but did have 1 through the air. It's been down a little bit. He is 7,900. I don't know if I want to pay up that much, so I might put this back down. I'll just put it down to 22. It is a little bit lower than what we've seen, but I'm looking at that. The ownership is something that we will look at as well. Then the next one is Seattle. It's CMC. I love CMC. If you watched our rankings, I have him ranked first overall. If you want to watch the rankings video, I'll link that at the end of the video. First overall is there. So now we'll move to the wide receiver. So looking at wide receiver, going down the list, the Ravens give up the most. So this is what's awesome. The Ravens defense, Russell Wilson, I loved him. We look at the wide receivers. They give up the most amount of fantasy points to wide receivers on DraftKings, 46.9. So a Steeler stack is a very good stack here. Pickens, I'm going to put him up to 18. So we go look at Pickens here. He's averaging 13.4. Game log wise, had a touchdown last week, 91 yards. He's getting targeted a lot with Russell Wilson. He is taking advantage of that. He's even, got a rushing attempt as well. Not much, but, 1 rushing attempt for 4 yards last week. So you can see his price is there. He's slowly starting to get up there. Obviously, Mike Williams coming into the fray last week, scored that touchdown as well. Only 1 target, 1 reception, but counted it for 32 yards and a tutty, and then was throwing a jab at A-Rod as well. But neither here nor there. He's 4,100. You could give him a boost, a little boost. Maybe we put him up to 5. And then you got Calvin Austin, who also, same thing, was targeted 6 times last week, 20 yards. So while everyone's going to be on Mike Williams, Calvin Austin could get a boost here too. So I'm going to put him at 6 just so they know that I know that they know we know. Next one. Detroit Lions defense, while I like them number 1 overall this week, they actually give up the second most amount of fantasy points to the opposing wide receivers at 42.3. So if we look at that, we're looking at Jacksonville wide receivers, Brian Thomas, Gabe Davis. It's basically Brian Thomas. And if we look at Brian Thomas, hasn't done anything the past 2 games. Targets are there. The yards have not been there. He's had 2 down games against Minnie and Philly. Green Bay, 60 yards. New England, 89 yards. Touchdowns in both of those games. Detroit's secondary has not been as good as the rest of their defense. If you look at them, they rank 28th overall passing yards allowed. 6th against the rush. 20th in total yardage per game. 7th against points allowed per game. So you can see the defense has been good against rushing and points allowed, but against wide receiver, they are not as good. So Brian Thomas will get a boost here. We'll put him up to 14 just to get there. I mean, there's Gabe Davis and stuff, but I don't think, unless you're doing a full stack, you don't want to boost up too much. The next one is the Titans. Now, there's not a ton with the Titans. Minnesota's defense, though, they rank 30th, give up 41.2. It's Calvin Ridley, Westbrook Akine. So I'll put Ridley here, and I'll put Akine up to 9 just so they know. And it gets in the algorithm just a little bit. Then we got Cleveland, but the problem is Saints wide receivers. It's MVS. We know that he had a good game, so we'll boost him up. Cedric Wilson, maybe I'll just put him up at 7, but he's got that questionable tag. Then it's the Jacksonville Jaguars defense, which, again, I love a Jared Goff stack here. I love Goff, both Amon-Ra St. Brown. Put him at 21. Jameson Williams is there, but so he was back after suspension last week. 53 yards. So he was targeted, 53 yards. But again, a lot of that, you got to look past it because Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions. So we look at that, and 8.3 is not good, 0.6, so he missed some time. But Jameson Williams, I will give him a boost up to 10, just so it's in the mindset for this algorithm. Then we're going to go to tight end. So against the tight end, using the matchup tool, we've got the Chiefs give up the most amount to tight ends, 16.8. So that's the Bills. So it's right here. So Kincaid is already out. So that's the problem. So if we look at that, everyone would be on Kincaid. Kincaid is out for, just won't play. So then that is a boost up to technically Dawson Knox, but he has not done anything. But if they want to target him, they could in this game. So Dawson Knox will get a bump up here. I'll put Dawson Knox at 10. We'll put him there. Number 2 would be the Raiders. Give up 15.6 fantasy points per game. That's the Dolphins. So we're looking at Jonnu Smith. Going to get a little boost there up to 9. Next, we're looking at the Colts. So that's the Jets. So Conklin. If he gets any kind of boost, it would be here. Put him at 8. Panthers are on bye. Baltimore Ravens, they give up 14.6, ranks 26 out of 32. That's the Steelers. It's Freiermuth. Like I said, I really like Pittsburgh as a stack here. So Freiermuth, I'm going to bump him up to 9 as well. Then we look at the Jaguars. It's the Lions, and I believe Laporta is already ruled out. If I'm correct, Laporta is ruled out already. So Brock Wright, Zylstra makes sense, but Brock Wright, put him at 8. Now we go to defense. I like to remove some of the defenses here. So I don't want the Steelers or I'll keep the Steelers defense in there just in case. I'm going to remove the Jaguars. I'm going to remove the Raiders. Seahawks I'm removing. Probably Ravens defense I'm removing. And I'm going to keep it that way. So then we get into a little bit of max ownership. So at 100%, it just depends on what you've got. So we're going to build this out now. I'm going to put 25% for all players, meaning I want more variety in these lineups. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this video. I'm going to run the 5,000 lineups. We're going to look at them. Then we're going to change the rules up a little bit so we can see if it, I want to see if it like stacks right off the bat. And then if not, we will make sure it's going to be stacking. So I'll be right back. Okay, so it's done. It's done the 5,000. We can see that. Move the projections. I wanted to see the lineups that it made. So it automatically already stacked Goff with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Brock Wright as well. Dolphins defense against Las Vegas is great. Dawson Knox at the top. Brock Wright being there. George Pickens, liking George Pickens. Brian Thomas is there. CMC. They've got Audric Estime, or however you say his name. Now, he obviously popped off last week. So if we look at what he was able to do in this. Now, he came out of nowhere. He was encouraged with his performance, and he will continue to get more reps. So we're used to Javonte Williams. We're used to other people. The problem is he only put up 53 yards. He only put up 5.3 fantasy points. He was 4,000. They bumped him up to 4,500. He's going up against Atlanta. Atlanta's defense versus the running back. They ranked 10th. Only give up 21.9. So honestly, I think all the algorithms, all of these, the optimizers are going to spit out him. I don't trust that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take him and I'm going to remove him from my player pool because I think it's a trap this week and I don't like it. So let's apply the change and see how much it has changed with this. So it did take out Brock Wright, but still got Goff with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Achane, which is a great matchup, McCaffrey, which is a great matchup. I actually like this a little bit better. So we can look at that, and that's kind of where they're at there. So they love Jared Goff here. So we look at this, the initial run, 6 quarterbacks. So if we look at, and we can go through and we can look at like exposure. It'll take all the exposure and show us. So it's got Aaron Rodgers, Jared Goff, Geno Smith, Jameis Winston, Russell Wilson, and Drake May. Now, there's other ones that I do like, specifically with projection of fantasy points and stuff like that. So kind of looking at that, it did not take into effect in 5,000 lineups, didn't take into effect Josh Allen, didn't take into effect Brock Purdy, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Bo Nix. So you've got to mess with it a little bit. You've got to update it and be able to do that. So we're going to go with team stacks, and depending on where we're at, so you can see projected points, and you can see want to get a little bit of Baltimore, obviously. You want a little bit of Miami. You want the Rams. San Francisco's there. So you can put a minimum. So we're going to put a minimum of 25. So apply this, and let's see what it'll pop up for us today. Okay, so you're not able to do it there. But it did take, when you switch it up a little bit, it took Russell Wilson along with George Pickens. It still got Dawson Knox. It did put Esteem back. Bills defense against Kansas City. Then it did change it up a bit. Geno Smith with DK Metcalf, A.J. Barner, and Kenneth Walker. Russell Wilson with Pickens there. Kareem Hunt, Alvin Kamara, both great options. Shakir, Dawson Knox, Dolphins defense. So it has changed it up a little bit. So I do not mind them. So looking at that, I do like a Russell Wilson lineup here, the one we did. The first one with Jared Goff, I do like those lineups there as well. So that being said, that is the DraftKings portion. So you can mess around, you can go through, go to the player pool, check the different player pool, update it a little bit so it's got what you're looking for. Either you go games or team stack. If you want to stack a certain game, you can do that as well. So if we look at that, if I'm and I'm going to have a stacks video out, so make sure you check that out because the stacks video will be there as well. So we've got those lineups. I love the Russell Wilson lineup with George Pickens. It's got Puka in there as well. Geno Smith is in there. And then just depending, quarterbacks, it did add an extra quarterback. So if we want to look at the Jared Goff one, there it's got 3 San Francisco ones and the Jets defense too. So Jared Goff throwing to Amon-Ra St. Brown and Brock Wright. Achan and McCaffrey, Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, Jonnu Smith, a great matchup for Jonnu as well, and the Jets defense against Anthony Richardson. I do not mind that lineup, and I do like the Russell Wilson lineup. So the Jared Goff lineup there is one that we've built. And this Russell Wilson one, Russell Wilson, Kamara, Josh Jacobs, Pickens, Puka, Westbrook Akine, Dawson Knox. You could put Audric just for a cheap option for flex, or you can take him out. And then the Bills defense, I might change it up a little bit. So if we do take running backs out and we go off of, so I did take him out. Okay. So you can change it up a little bit. That is one way to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to do the exact same thing we just did with DraftKings, but I'm going to do it with the Fanduel because I don't want it another 25 minutes. And then I will unpause the video and we'll see what lineups it likes as well. Okay, so looking here on Fanduel, it likes, so we've done the same parameters. We did the max exposure to 25% because I wanted to see it. We've got the Sunday Night Football game. So the Sunday night game is available on the main slate here on FanDuel, not on DraftKings. So it does like Justin Herbert number one. So Justin Herbert stacked with Ladd McConkey. It's got Achan. It's got McCaffrey, Pickens, Calvin Ridley, Jonnu Smith, Javonte Williams, and then it's got the Patriots. So you can make some changes there, but that's one lineup we can look at. If we're looking at a different quarterback, so for instance, you want to see Brock Purdy against Seattle, which I really like, but DraftKings it just didn't seem to like. Purdy with Hall and Kamara, stacking that with Juwan Jennings. We got Ladd McConkey, Will Dissly, Chase Brown, and the Jets defense against Anthony Richardson. So that's the one Brock Purdy stack there. We can look at the next one. If you think the Pittsburgh Steelers defense isn't going to do well and you want to look at Lamar. Lamar with Stevenson and McCaffrey. Lamar throwing it to Bateman. Again, the only problem is we were all over Zay Flowers in Thursday Night Football, and then it was Rashad Bateman. So I don't know if we're going to get Bateman again or we're going to get Zay Flowers, so you can look at that. But you've got Amon-Ra St. Brown, you've got Juwan Jennings as well, Brock Wright, Gus Edwards, and the Dolphins defense there for another lineup. And if you want to see another lineup, Jared Goff. So Goff throwing it to St. Brown and Brock Wright, so another Detroit stack there. You got Kareem Hunt, who's in a great matchup. You got Ramondre Stevenson. You never know what's going to happen there. He does like to fumble the ball. You got Calvin Ridley. You got Khalil Shakir, J.K. Dobbins. And then you do have the Colts defense against Aaron Rodgers because we don't know which Aaron Rodgers is going to show up. So those are your DraftKings lineups. Those are your FanDuel lineups. I'm going to pause the video. It'll be like that for you. We're going to do the exact same thing with Yahoo before we get into our favorite bets of week 11. All right, last up, we've got Yahoo. And with Yahoo, Russell Wilson, they like Russell Wilson, which I don't mind that at all. Travis Etienne, Devon Achane, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, you got Russell Wilson throwing to both Freiermuth and George Pickens, which I like, Elijah Moore, Kareem Hunt, which isn't a great matchup, and then the Dolphins defense. So that's a lineup that I like as well. And then we got Jared Goff throwing it to Amon-Ra St. Brown. You still got George Pickens in there. You got Breece Hall, Kyron Williams, Jerry Jeudy, Freiermuth. We got Esteem here, and we got the 49ers defense versus Seattle. And then if we look at other quarterbacks that it likes that we haven't talked about, possibly, if you want to look at a Josh Allen stack against Kansas City, which we can, it actually has him stacked with Shakir and Knox. It's got the Jets defense against Anthony Richardson, McCaffrey and Kyron Williams for your running backs, MVS for wide receiver, Elijah Moore for your third wide receiver, and then the Jets defense like we talked about. So I don't mind these lineups at all. These are just starting points. If you want to see everything else we have to offer, that's here under the NFL tab, from our matchup tool to our volume reports to snap counts to red zone stats, fantasy points allowed per game for FanDuel and DraftKings, Vegas odds. We also have the chalk plays. So if you play cash, you want to play the chalk. If you play tournaments, you want to fade the chalk. So you want to see the chalk plays of the ownership percentages at each position. Then you want to go around that, and that's how you build your draft or your tournament lineups. We also got projections, we got prop bets, and a cheat sheet. Go check all of them out on the site. The keyword of the day is Mountain Dew, because I have a migraine and it's literally the only thing on this planet that takes it away, along with medicine. So let's build some bets, or looking at our favorite bets that we like using Outlier.Bet. So I come into here, and you can find the link down below like we talked about at the beginning. But we look at the props. So these are different ranks, the ones that we like. So looking at this, the Denver Broncos, and some of these bets or these props will not be available on all sports books. So it really depends on what you're looking at. So what I look at, I'm just going to look off right off the top. So looking at this, one of my favorite plays, probably my favorite play of the week, is George Pickens. So looking at this, I'm going to put in Pickens, and this is what I love. You can just type him in there. Do Pickens, and I am looking at his receptions, or receiving yards, sorry. So I'm looking at receiving yards. The line right now, over under 69.5. Or that's only a bet 365. So if we look at this, it's over 59.5 here on DraftKings at minus 175. So I'm looking at this. Now, the Baltimore defense ranks 32 against the wide receivers. His line is 50 plus, but if we could look at 60 plus at minus 137, I look at that. So I am taking George Pickens, over 59.5 yards or 60 yards. That is my best bet of week 11. I'm going to add that here. So we're going to make it a parlay. So I'm going to show you guys how to do this. Using Outlier, you add it to your bet slip. What's the other bet that I had in there? Yeah, so this was just to show when we built for the Sunday night breakdown. So minus 175 at 60 plus yards for one of the bets. So looking, we can just do another, let's just make this a wide receiver parlay. So the next one I am looking at is Calvin Ridley. So Calvin Ridley, the line here we're looking at, Minnesota Vikings ranked 30 out of 32 against the wide receivers. His line is 40 plus. So we can look, let's just look at, we can look in here, go to alt lines, 40 plus. So Calvin Ridley, 40 plus receiving yards. Add that to my picks. Is that available on DraftKings, both books? It is available on both. So those are two picks. So another wide receiver receiving that we could look at, the Saints. The Saints rank 29th against the wide receiver ranking. That's we're going to look at Jerry Jeudy. Now, Jerry Jeudy coming in. The line that I'm looking at for Jeudy is 40 plus. So we see this, and we're going to alt line it down to 39.5 minus 137. So Jerry Jeudy right here, looking at that. We can use all three of these on here. That's a plus 234 parlay. And it depends on the site you're on. So you could, on Fanduel, you can only do 2 of 3. On DraftKings, you could do 3 of 3. Caesars, 2 of 3. And those are the only books that you can play it on. So if you want to do another wide receiver one, you could look at the Bengals defense. They ranked 24th versus Ladd McConkey. The line would be 40 plus for Ladd McConkey. Bengals defense is pretty bad overall, so a Justin Herbert stack would not be out of the question there. You can alt line it. So we are looking Ladd McConkey 40 plus yet again. Add that to our picks. That is a 4-play parlay, 4 of 4 on DraftKings. 360 is what we've got. Then, depending whether or not you're doing wide receiver receiving, whether or not you want to do another one, we could definitely look at that. The Colts defense, maybe they don't hold Aaron Rodgers to it. Maybe he has a bounce back week. So let's make it a 5-player parlay with this one. I think people are going to be on Devontae Adams. Let's go back to the well with Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson, receiving yards. It's at 70.5, but what I want to take this line is 50 plus. So let's see if we can alt it down to 50. Add that to our picks. It's available there. So we have a 5-man parlay for wide receivers. We're looking at 505, 540. Now what we're going to do is it takes it out. You can add it to your bet slip. It'll take you out to DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm going to pause the video while I log in. So it's here. What I love is it can be thrown in here So I'm going to get rid of Jamar Chase there. Now, you've got Calvin Ridley, 40-plus receive, and there is a bonus available. So if we 5-pick parlay this, now you can go here and you can find different boosts. If you guys have not signed up to DraftKings or Fanduel Sportsbooks, click the links in the description to sign up. You're going to use our link. You're going to sign up. They're going to give you bonus money for signing up, and you can get some of these. So we can opt in, get a different reward here, and see what kind of rewards they show, just depending on what you're playing. So you took it the reward here, no sweat bonus bet 25. So if I put 25 or 10, if I put $10 on here to win 54, so that's 5-man parlay for wide receivers. Add that there. Going to bet that. So that's one of the bets. If you want to see other bets, we're going to be tweeting them out. We are Xing them out, or whatever we call it now. We're going to be putting that into our Discord, so make sure you check the Discord down below. Completely free Discord. We've got DFS, we've got sports betting, we've got it all. Make sure you check out FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. Hopefully this breakdown, it is longer, but there's a reason. We have chapters for you guys to skip to, or whatever you want to do. So hopefully you found this video well. I will link all of our other videos here on YouTube as well. So good luck today. And as always, let's bring them some bacon. Peace.